Here in America, the education system is broken. Now, what happens is that the education system becomes like a banking system. You can put your money into it, you can pay for it, and that's just what it is. It is a banking system for us to increase our knowledge and analyze what we're doing. But we don't really do that. We just learn to accept, 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 and buy, and buy, and buy. Just like a fish in a bowl of water. Is it really a wonder why so many people drop out of school and why students aren't succeeding here? This banking system of running our school and supporting our schools, who is it really supported by? It's supported by the rich, the white, the hearing. That's who supports this education, who supports this banking system. Before we can actually discuss deaf education, we have to know what the history is behind it. With public education, there were 3 goals. The first was to conform with our dominant culture. The second was to be obedient. And the third was basically to create consumers. During the Industrial Revolution, what happened was this mass production coming in required for people to buy more, to consume more. We had so much there that people felt like they needed to buy more. We needed people to buy, we needed people to make. The goal was to make money. Before the Industrial Revolution, around the 18th or 19th century, life was very simple. People in their communities, they supported each other, they supported themselves. There was no need to buy any more than what you actually needed. The school system has taught our children that they need to buy more. They need to think about how they need to buy more. The result is that our children aren't thinking. Our children are taught to be obedient, to listen, and to follow what's going on. They're not thinking about analyzing or anything. By now it seems like they're like sitting ducks. They wait and they wait for the next new technology or the next new invention, for more commercials, for more advertisements to tell them why this thing is so much better than what they already have, and it makes them feel like they absolutely need to buy it. Now, the policies for school, or who are they controlled by? The governments, the citizens? No, not at all. They're controlled by 2 major companies, the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Institute. Now, a long time ago, there really were no policies that required you to go to school, but policy was set up that made children go to school. It is a requirement now for children to go to school. But all that curiosity, that intelligence, that knowledge, that way of analyzing, it was all taken away from us, and we were taught how to be obedient. The classroom was controlled. One person named Inglis, he wrote about the basic functions for schooling. So for deaf education, there are 3 functions. The first one is called differentiating function. The second is the selective function. And the third is called the propedeutic function. Now, the first function, the differentiating, basically diagnoses children as different or more intelligent or less intelligent. The second function, the selective function, is basically not only labeling people as different, but separating them. It's very similar to Darwin. The third function, the propedeutic function, basically teaches a small group of kids or children that when they grow up, they are going to be the leaders, they are going to be the controllers, and it teaches them to basically look down upon and control a larger group of the population. They just become obedient laborers. During this time, schools basically became places for experimentation with either ways to control behavior, to try to control how we think, the goals that we want to reach, different intelligent ways, all these tests that we use to measure our intelligence and the way that we think. Those were all the experiments that went on during school. Schools basically became a laboratory. Eugenics was also popular at this time. Francis G. Galton, he did a lot of his studies in England on intelligence through lineage and heredity. And he found out that with the people, who were scholars in the military and poets, they were all descendants of the same family. And this made him believe that they were more superior than people who were the poor or the workers. He decided that you couldn't mix the superior people with the inferior people. It would basically mess up the lineage of any other family. The idea of this superior breeding was actually popularized by Alexander Graham Bell, which is interesting due to his history. But he published a book where he said that the production of a race that was inferior to human beings would basically destroy the world, and he wanted to examine the causes that led to the marriages between death and try to find a cure for it. Now, at the end of the French Revolution, all the kings and the queens and the churches that were believed to have all of this knowledge and all of this experience, people will go to churches to look up to them and gain knowledge and information. At the end of the French Revolution, all of that was finished. They all broke down. after they broke down, people were trying to figure out who exactly to look up to. Well, these teaching schools showed up and started showing ways of how to control the classroom and how to control students in the classroom. So the first deaf school in the world, it was set up in France. Someone named Itard, who was Itard, he was a doctor. And he worked at the school as a doctor. And there he would examine the students, and he would try to find different ways that he could fix them and examine them and take down notes of their conditions. Now, he